What I am looking at is my bucket list. I look at it every morning before I get out of bed. I created this in a really difficult time in my life, so I have something to look forward to when I get out of it. The median death age for a person with FOP is 40, meaning I already lived half my life. I hope I have the opportunity to accomplish most of these things. I really do. If you've been following my videos, welcome back. I mentioned before that I've been getting flare-ups in my back area and shoulder area, but it didn't seem like it was doing me any harm. It turned out that it was doing me harm. There was no results from it right away. It just needed time to develop over. So like any other normal kid, they grow up. They grow taller. In my case, the flare-ups actually fuse my spine together. So any regular kid, when they would grow up, their spine will also expand, which will make them taller. In my case, my spine fused and it couldn't grow taller. So the only way it could grow was outward, causing my severe scoliosis. So the taller I was getting, quote unquote, the worse my scoliosis was becoming. There is really nothing anyone could do. If a regular person were to get scoliosis, there are many surgeries available to correct the scoliosis. I would walk on the street and the doctor would stop me, or basically my parents since I was really young, and they said that there are surgeries available that could fix their son's scoliosis, but then when they explain the situation, then it becomes clear that they can't really do anything about it. For me, I remember it hurt a lot when a scoliosis was forming. So like it would be this really bad back pain and I would need to lie down to have my spine straightened out on the floor. While it wasn't straight like a regular person, it did help with the pain. But after a while, it just didn't really help that much. I think I developed a tolerance for the pain because now it doesn't hurt as much, but there are certain days where it hurts a lot. There are times when it hurt a lot, especially if I'm bending over and stuff, and I try to bend my body forward. At the time that it was happening, I was around maybe 10 and up, and I didn't know what my disease was. I kind of knew about it, but like I really didn't think deeply into it, that how it would affect my rest of my life. I didn't know I was in this position, and that was it. But year after year, the more that I was supposed to grow, my scoliosis started to get worse. So right now I have almost severe scoliosis. It's getting at to that point where surgery is riskier to do it, the more severe your scoliosis would be. With that being said, even if the cure were to happen tomorrow, my scoliosis would probably be very hard to fix because my skeleton, especially around my ribs and chest area, it's like a web of bones. So like it's not removing one little bone, it's actually removing a lot of little bones across my body to correct it. So the risk involved in getting correction on that might be too high to even correct it. So I kind of accept that the scoliosis might never be fixed and I just have to deal with it. The other thing that happened, that since I do have scoliosis, is that constricting my chest area. So my heart is beating faster than usual. One of my lungs is basically crushed. So I'm basically breathing on one lung all the time. Everything else is also constricted except my stomach area, which is a lot more open. Probably since my scoliosis was getting worse and worse was when the point that my personality started to take a turn. So when I was younger, my personality was strong, not shy, energetic. I could do almost anything I wanted to do. I was very outgoing and such. But when the scoliosis started to get worse, is when my personality started to get worse too. So now I was starting to become shy. I wasn't confident with myself. I wasn't talking as much anymore. I just kept to myself very much. During the summers, since my mom had to work and I was not in school, my mom would put me in these day camps where they would be full of other kids who had physical and mental disabilities. But a lot of the kids needed more adult supervision, and a lot of them would probably not live a so-called regular adult life where they would be able to hold a job and such. But for me, it was that I was always in that group. So my mental capacity was basically the same as everyone else, but since I had a physical disability, I was always put into that group, and a lot of people wouldn't let me go out of that group just because I had the physical disability. So it was really hard for me just to get out and try to live a so-called normal life. While yes, I did have fun at the camps, but I was always stuck in a way that I couldn't progress further than I wanted to as the rest of society. There were some people who are able to maybe have a regular adult life and such, and they might need some help, but like that doesn't really matter to me. But like a lot of these kids were not going to, and probably would need adult supervision for the rest of their lives. Since I was young, I didn't really have any control of what I could say or do. I didn't like to be part of the group. With them, I didn't feel like I was going anywhere. While yes, I did have fun and it did occupy my time, I just felt like I could do more to progress myself. Throughout my life, I always seemed to be struggling to be at that norm. And when I do try, no one gives me the chance. Around when I was 15 was when I started to be able to think for myself. I started to be more of a rebel in a sense that I needed to almost escape what I was going through. I was trying to break out of this mold, but it was really hard in the body that I was. Since my disability was getting worse, my personality started to take a downturn. So it was like, throughout my life, I felt like I wasn't in the right group ever. I was willing to bend over backwards to try to fit in, but I just never was able to. Back then, I didn't know what to do. People seemed to like me, and people, I guess, accepted me, but it was all superficial. For me, it hurt a lot just because I wanted to feel accepted, but I didn't know how. So during high school, I would go to speech therapy twice a week to keep getting my speech skills better because it wasn't the best that they thought it could be. One of my mentors, who also was my speech therapist, Linda, actually sat me down and told me the truth. He told me the truth of what life was going to be in terms of how society is. High school is just a phase. You're basing your whole life basically on what you experience in high school. There's a world out there with billions of people. Don't put yourself so hard that you can't interact with these people when there are a couple of billion more people out there. You just have to hang in there and hopefully find a group that will accept you more than the group you are in right now. She also bluntly told me that my speech sucked, that I am the only one that can correct it. I can help you get better at it, but you really need to put all your issues aside and practice at it. You can't BS it anymore, and you're at a time where people will understand your want. If they won't, then they will not listen to you. While as harsh as it was, and yes, I took it very harshly at the time, while we're going through all these mental issues, she was right. I was only 16, 17. I had a whole life ahead of me. It was that I was in a bad place. The school wasn't doing me any good, and it was breaking me more than it was helping me. You need to get this through so you can get to the next part of life, which was college. Just hang in there and don't focus on what's happening now. Focus on what you can do now to help you in the future. I needed to hear this because when you have a disability, a lot of the times people will let you get by with things. So like if you have a paper and it's not great, they might let you slide because you probably had a more difficult life. So like maybe that's why his writing is not that good. So I'll give him maybe a half a grade up. But while yes, it's a nice courtesy to do, but for me, mentally I was trying to better myself. But like if you don't correct me, then I can't better myself. So when Linda told me that the harsh reality, that's when I really needed to do something about it. She saw potential in me, and a lot of people really didn't. They just saw me just as a person and just to be nice to me, but like he would never really do anything great. But she saw potential in me, and she was willing to work with me instead of giving up. There was a lot of time when she threw me out where I wasn't putting effort. While yes, it seems rude and harsh, but I needed to feel that rejection in a way that I needed to find the truth for myself. While she did throw me out and such, I always came back because I always knew she really cared about me and really deep inside wanted to help. I just needed to find that truth and that motivation to keep going.